During the War on Terror, U.S. interrogators turned to music as a weapon, blasting songs on endless repeat in secret detention sites. Among the most infamous tracks was Eminem's The Real Slim Shady, which detainees reported being forced to hear non-stop for up to 20 days. Former prisoners described the experience as so unbearable that men would scream, weep, and even bang their heads against the walls for hours just to escape the sound, a form of psychological torment that left no physical scars but shattered minds. In January of 2022, shoppers at a Walmart in Crockett, Texas witnessed a bizarre and disturbing encounter. A woman named Rebecca Lynette Taylor approached a mother with an infant son and casually offered her $250,000 in cash to purchase the child. When the stunned mother refused and tried to leave, Rebecca allegedly followed her into the parking lot, doubling her offer to $500,000 and insisting she'd wanted to purchase the boy for a long time. Terrified, the mother contacted police and Rebecca was arrested and charged with the felony offense of sale or purchase of a child.
Is related to one king.
What?
What are you talking about?
No.
How?
Yes.
You're being serious?
Dead serious. So, this is where it gets crazy. This man, his name is Harold Brooks Baker. He was a lawyer and a Harvard graduate. He did all this, this study on U.S. presidents and royal lineage. His obsession was, the royals, the monarchy and stuff. He had this theory that the presidents weren't voted in by the people, but they were actually selected by whatever it is. They're selected based on royal bloodline.
Oh no!
And it's called the royal candidate, or the most royal candidate theory.
Okay.
And then it was about,
So aggressive.
13 or so years ago, this 12-year-old girl, for her 7th grade project, went into with the help of her grandparents, went down the lineage of each president, and they all connected to one man.
Weird.
Except for one at the time.
Okay.
Who? Roosevelt.
No, it was Martin Van Buren, the 8th president.
Yeah.
But they connected to one man. All their lineage traced back to King John. And he was of the house of, I'm going to totally butcher this, the house of Plantagenet.
Nailed it.
Oh, how do you say that? The P word.
Jeanette.
The house of Plantagenet.
Planet.
I watched this movie recently.
Okay.
It's called Heredity. It was about this guy that he trapped these 2 Mormon girls knocking on his door.
Okay.
And they wanted to preach about the religion, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to persuade them to play a part of his game that he set up in his house. And he's debating about religion to them.
Okay.
The plot twist was, though, he knew that they were going to come. And all he wanted to do was experiment and test their beliefs and their faith.
The fuck?
And explaining all these different religions and why yours might not be right and what the true religion is. One of the craziest shits he did.
Yeah.
So he stood in the middle of 2 doors. Yeah, 2 doors, right? And then he wrote on the door belief and disbelief on the other door.
Yeah.
And he said, based on what you believe, you can walk through the door and that's how you escape and that's how you get out. And then one girl, she's doubting. I was like, okay, do we go disbelief because he's testing us? Maybe we should just listen and not pretend we don't believe and leave, right?
Yeah.
The other girl goes, no, because if we do that, then we're playing on his game. We can't do that.
Oh my God.
We have to still stick to our beliefs and show that we still have faith. So they decide to go through the belief door. And it takes them down a tunnel into a circle. And what's so crazy? And what's so crazy is the tunnel, it connected to the other door anyway.
Oh.
So it's disbelief and belief brought them to the same place. And then what he says on a speakerphone, he had a speakerphone in there, I'm gonna make you guys witness a miracle and I'm gonna tell you what the true religion is.
Okay, what was it? What was the miracle?
He said, I'm gonna send in a prophet and she's a prophet and you're gonna see why she is. So this old woman walks in. She's bringing in a poisonous pie. When she eats it, she's gonna die, but you're gonna see she'll come back to life. She dies. She face plants. And he says, can you check her pulse for me? Check her pulse. Cold. She's dead. Bro, they hear a doorbell. Somebody's trying to find out what these girls are at. The guy went to go check the door.
So they ran up with him too?
No, they couldn't run up because it was locked.
Yeah.
They went back though, and they were looking at the woman, and it looked like she moved. And eventually she came back to life.
Oh my goodness.
And she started moving, and she walked over them and spoke. And what she said to them was, "It's not real. It's not real."
To your brain if you drink too much energy drinks. You see this white part right here? That's a bleed in the deep structures of the brain. One time I saw this young man that came in and couldn't move half of his body, and the CAT scan showed that there was a bleed in his brain. His systolic blood pressure was over 200. Everything else checked out. No known medical history, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs. The only thing was that he was drinking multiple energy drinks for years. It's important to remember that energy drinks are not just coffee, and they often contain very high doses of caffeine, plus stimulants like taurine and guarana. And together, these can push your nervous system into a constant fight or flight state. That means that your heart rate and your blood pressure can spike, that your heart rate can stay higher, your blood vessels stay tighter, and your blood pressure can creep up silently over time. In this person's case, he had developed severe high blood pressure without even realizing it. And that pressure can damage the small vessels in his brain, and they're like pipes. When the pressure builds too high, it can burst, which led to the bleed. Now, this doesn't happen to everyone, but it's very important to know about the risks. And this is not about blaming or shaming anybody. Many people turn to energy drinks because they are exhausted when working long hours, raising families, or just trying to function. But from a brain and blood vessel standpoint, chronic overstimulation matters and can harm your brain and vascular health. My point is, if you drink energy drinks, make sure you do it in moderation, and they're not harmless when they are used daily and in excess, and your blood vessels will always remember the pressure you put them under.
They say there's this thing called post-Japan depression, and it's a real thing.
Oh shit.
Yes. Google this. Look it up on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Like, anybody who goes to Japan, you go there and you experience this, like, legitimate utopia. And then when you come back to wherever you came from, like America, you literally have depression. Like, it's a dopamine depletion when you get back. I was there 2 months ago on a trip with some buddies for like 2 weeks, and same thing. I came back and it's like you're just drained and depressed because you come back to like America.
That's fascinating to me because I feel I'd be so overwhelmed with the lights and the people, because I'm a very seclusive, like, mountains are my home, right? Like, I love just peace, I love quiet, I love looking at stars. But then you take something like Tokyo, which is polar opposite of everything I'd ever want to be or ever want to, like, live in and experience for a long term. But the hearing that, it's fascinating because obviously they're doing something right, like efficiency, the cleanliness.
It's like the whole country is like staying in a 5-star hotel, if I can put it that way. So
it looks like that. Even restaurants are mind-blowing. Like,
the hospitality is next level, the food's next level. I mean,
how do they treat Americans there?
Nicely, yeah. They're very, if you're respectful. Because what pissed me off, especially when I lived there, is when I would see tourists come around, like the Australians, because they're everywhere, the Aussie tourists, or like dumb Americans that would come by, or also like you'd also have to deal with like the sailors in Yokosuka or the airmen in Yokota and the Marines from Oki coming to mainland for leave and stuff. So when I would see tourists, running amok and being loud on a train or something, I'm like, guys, shut the fuck up. Like, be respectful of the society, because if you are, they're not going to have a problem with you at all. They're going to be very welcoming. They're going to try to speak English with you to help you out and give you directions and all that stuff. On my last trip, because if you go to Japan, you can't just go to Tokyo.
We were told it was going to stay in our arm, right? Okay. We were told this is mRNA, going to degrade rapidly in our body, right? But it wasn't mRNA, was it? It was modified RNA. It was actually produced synthetically so it wouldn't degrade. And we now have studies that say that mRNA is circulating in the body at least, I think, 2 months, and we haven't done studies beyond that, correct? I know in your own practice, you don't administer that because you realize the spike protein is toxic to the body.
I prefer the protein vector.
When did you first determine, or when did you first find out about the biodistribution studies Pfizer had done that the Japanese regulators released in February of 2021?
Probably
lipid nanoparticles.
Yeah, probably somewhere in the spring or summer of 21. It was clear that the mRNA in some patients was persisting much longer than it should.
When did you find out about the biodistribution of the lipid nanoparticles, or when did people in the FDA, when should they known about the fact that they were biodistributing all over the body?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I was telling you the summer of 2021 is when I probably became more aware that this...
Only because the Japanese regulators released that. But again, this is part of the Pfizer studies, so they knew that the lipid nanoparticle, which is designed to permeate difficult to permeate barriers, correct? Yeah. That's the design of the lipid nanoparticle. So they knew this was going to biodistribute all over the body, concentrate in the ovaries, the adrenal glands. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, correct?
Correct. So
what would let's just, again, you're a doctor. What happens when you have a lipid nanoparticle biodistributing, and let's say this mRNA, this modified mRNA, attaches to a heart muscle? But what is it? it injects itself into the cells, causes that heart muscle cell to produce a spike protein, correct? Which is toxic to the body. And then what does the body do?
It has a very strong pro-inflammatory response, which is problematic. Again, I think, Senator, what you're getting at, which I'm 100% agreeing with you, is I think there was not appropriate transparency from the beginning about the potential side effects of these vaccines. And I do think there was inappropriate decisions by some to try to report any side effects because they argued that would make the public less likely to get vaccinated. I do think one of the greatest mistakes that was made, of course, was mandating these vaccines. They should have never been mandated. It should have been open to personal choice. They don't prevent infection. They do have side effects.
So the prayer, O universal source, divine breath of creation, you who exist in the realm of pure vibration and subtle energy, may your sacred frequency be awakened within us. May we embody your divine essence. Let your kingdom arise within our hearts. Let our individual will merge with the cosmic pattern, synchronizing the physical realm with the spiritual. As the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, nourish us daily with spiritual vitality. Feed our soul with divine wisdom and life force. Restore our alignment when we miss the mark. Dissolve the blockages we have created as we release and restore the flow of energy in others. For what we release releases us. Keep us awake and conscious. Do not let us fall into forgetfulness of our divine origin. Protect us from inner fragmentation and chaotic energy. Rescue us from the illusion of separation, for yours is the divine order within and without, the creative power that flows through all things, and radiant consciousness that illuminates existence now and forever.
Because that's one of the sad things on this planet that's happening right now. We are all going to do DNA activation. We're all going to do Merkaba activation because the planet's doing it. But if your DNA is messed up and it can't activate the right way and your Merkaba can't spin the right way, it's going to make your body sicker. It's going to do the molecular compaction thing at an accelerated rate. People are going to get sick. Now, there is hope for this situation. The hope is in the indigo children, and the humans with 12-strand templates are those who are willing to receive Melchizedek ordinations to get 12-strand templates, because if they can run enough frequency on the right rotations into the planetary grids, it is affecting the tribal shield, which means we can begin to heal the race morphogenetic field. Each piece of ourselves, each one of us that heals, adds a healing to the tribal shield of the species. And if we hit critical mass of D12, it doesn't even have to be all the way up to full 12-strand activation. If we can get it straightened out to 4.5-strand activation within the race morphogenetic field, it will stop people from being by the frequencies that are coming in the next 10 years. It will stop them from having to dye their bodies. And dyeing your body is not such a bad thing, especially when you realize there's someplace else to go that's probably nicer. But when a person dyes their bodies with genetic mutations, with their Merkaba going crazy on them, it throws their consciousness into fragmentation rather than
single writing left behind from Atlantis. They didn't do cuneiform writing into stones. They probably had paper, and they probably had digital records. Digital. The reason I say that is that we've found some really weird artifacts in the Mediterranean over the last 100 years. There was an artifact found off of Greece that has mechanical components in it that don't make sense.
This is the one Michio Kaku talked about. This was down at the bottom of the Mediterranean.
That's it.
Around 1900 or so, there was a shipwreck off the coast of Greece, and divers found an instrument encrusted in coral. It looked like a piece of junk. But when they cleaned it, they realized, no, it's a machine that is 2,000 years old. And then they took x-rays of it, and they realized it's a computer. My God, a computer. Think a computer that was supposed to be a gift to Julius Caesar. But the ship sunk.
15 major theological religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story of a Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that have the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. Of course, God's son, S-U-N, the Egyptians said had an evil brother. He was the prince of darkness. And he came out at night to rule the world. When God's son died and went away, the world was in the hands of the prince of darkness. And his name was Set. and he came out at sunset. The Egyptians said that that newborn son that came up every morning, his name was Horus. In Easter, we have Easter sunrise services for Horus Rising. That's where we get the word horizon. I'm saying that there are 15 major religions in the world before Christianity that have taught the same thing. It is a very ancient, old story. That's why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told.
Being passed in Tennessee right now regarding lettuce. It's really terrifying.
Okay.
At the University of California, they have figured out a way to put human vaccines within vegetables.
Why, dude?
And so the whole bill is basically trying to label different vegetables, which ones have vaccines and which ones don't, so that people are allowed to choose. Because apparently they're trying to roll it out without telling anyone the difference of this one has a vaccine and this one does not have a vaccine.
What are we doing? Why is this even a conversation?
I don't know. Stop putting vaccines in vegetables.
Quit touching the food. The food's fine.
That's why I don't eat vegetables. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if they could do it sneakily, they'll do it sneakily.
Yeah, they probably have already been doing it.
Bro.
And now they're just kind of like, wait a second. Yeah, we just figured out how to do this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you gotta let us know which ones you're putting in. They're like,
lettuce.
Yeah, make a
lettuce.
Let us know.
I don't know what that means, but it scares me.
Ever bring any, like, children into the Bohemian Grove? No.
Except the guys that are horny, they go into town, and during the encampment, there's always a few girls up there in town, prostitutes.
Okay. I'm going undercover with a hidden camera to meet with a Bohemian Grove member. He's been with the Satanic Club for almost half a century. Now click the link in my tweet to help fund this operation. With these funds, I'm going to travel the entire country and confront every single member on the Bohemian Grove list. I call it Operation Owl's End. Wish me luck. I'm going dark. So what actually happens at the cremation of care?
Well, that's a whole wonderful thing. It's a name, so we're cremating care. You're up here to put the care behind you. We're going to kill care. So it's this thing that God knows when it started. And it's very elaborate. People go around capes and stuff and bad guys and good guys. Yeah. Probably 125 people that participate in this whole thing. Again, after everybody comes in singing songs and doing all sorts of things. And they cremate care. They go up to this lake, and in the lake is this magnificent sculpture. The owl is the symbol of the Bohemian Club.
Well, there was this room, 213. And for some reason, I would get a bad feeling about this room, and I didn't like to go near this room. And it's like I felt when I would walk by it outside, like someone was watching me from the room. Now, in my downtime when I worked there, right, I would go to all the rooms and switch out the batteries in the smoke detector, and sometimes change out the filters in the furnace. And this particular night, I got to room 213 to change out the batteries in the smoke detector. So I'm in there, I'm standing up on the bed, changing out this battery, and all of a sudden I hear whoosh, like this whooshing sound. And it's coming from the bathroom. I go into the bathroom, and I realize this bathtub is running, and the water's turned on by itself. And so I'm thinking, like, is this thing broken or something? So I take a look at the faucet, and it's just, turned on. So I turn it off, and I go back to putting the battery in the smoke detector. And once again, it kicks back on, and like the bathtub's running again. So I hurry up, put the battery into the smoke detector, I go in the bathroom, I shut it off, and I got out of the room. Now, I didn't tell anybody else that worked at the hotel about my feelings towards room 213 or anything that had happened. One night, the front desk guy, Bogdan, tells me, like, you'll never believe what happened last night. And I'm like, what's that? He's like, this lady came down in nothing but a bathrobe and was like, I need a new room. There was a woman in my bathtub and, like, was freaking out and terrified. So I gave her a new room. And I'm like, was it room 213? And he's like, yeah, how did you know that? And I'm like, I get a bad feeling about that room. So fast forward a few months after this, I'm working one night. Bogdan calls me up, hey, can you take these two guests? They want to see one of the rooms before they check it out or rent the room out. So I'm like, okay, so I go down and Bogdan says take them to 213, it's vacant. So I take him up to room 213 and I, as always, knock on the door, say, hello, it's maintenance. And someone responds back, I'm in here. And it's a woman's voice. I hear this, the man and woman with me hear this, but I'm like, there's not supposed to be anyone in this room. So I call down Bogdan and I'm like, hey, what's going on? I thought this room's supposed to be vacant. And he goes, yeah, there should be no one in that room. Like, you need to go in there and check it out. So I enter the room. I'm like, maintenance, hello, anyone in here? No one responds. I go in the room, it's completely dark. There's no one in the room at all. And I even checked the maintenance closet. You have to understand, this is a second floor room, and the windows do not open. So there was absolutely no one in that room. The next morning, I'm talking to the assistant general manager, and I'm like, hey, is there something wrong with room 213? And I tell him what had happened to me. And he's like, shh, shh, quiet, quiet. He's like, come with me into my office. So I go into his office, and like he shuts the door really fast. And he's like, well, there was a girl who one night checked in to 213. She ordered a bunch of this sad music, and the next morning she didn't check out. So we sit in the morning, maintenance guy Gary, to the room, and he finds her in a bathtub. And, you know, he was just like, you know, completely messed up by this. He had to take several weeks off of work. I didn't know what to do with the room, so I just opened up the windows and we aired it out, and we didn't really, you know, check it out to anyone for several months. The housekeeping, they were all like strong Catholic, and they would not go into that room until I had a priest come and bless the room. And he's like, I still don't like to check that room out, only when, you know, we're at full capacity. And he's like, I didn't want to tell the staff, and I don't like to tell anybody staying here because I don't want to scare anyone. And it was just kind of like, whoa, like I had been in that room several times, and like, you know, I had no idea like this had happened. And it sort of all made sense to me, like why I didn't like that room.
The Beast of Bray Road is one of the cryptids that I think actually could be real. Now, there have been over 300 plus sightings in West.
The video shows a white figure standing stiffly between the gaps of a wooden house wall, causing viewers to split in, interpreting what was actually captured. Until now, there is still no clear explanation regarding the figure, but the upload has sparked intense debate online. Many remind viewers to stay calm, avoid jumping to conclusions, and remain rational when encountering unusual footage like this. As seen in the recording, a figure in white appears faintly on the left side of the road. Its sudden presence nearly causes the driver to swerve. After safely pulling over, curiosity leads him back to the spot to confirm what he saw. But the place is completely empty. The figure had vanished without a trace. The mysterious white form remains unexplained, with many assuming it may be the apparition of a ghost, commonly reported on isolated roads at night.